Whew. Alright, I just hit the record button on my OBS as well. Excuse me. What I need to do is get the stream pulled up on my other computer real quick just so I can... Oh, what is going on? Yeah. I am already tanking frames. Jesus. I was going to have a box open so I can pull out Scryfall, but I don't think that's going to work. It looks like it's taking up too much of my processing speed. Alright, well... Well, that's better, but... It's still a little bit frustrating that I can't have it the way I'd like it. I want to be able to talk about cards that I might not necessarily know the names of and be able to pull them up somewhere and show them. Not even sure if it's gonna... Oh. Wow. This is terrible. Jesus. This is awful. I might have to cancel. It's gonna be frustrating. Gonna try and take some of the visual clutter off. Maybe that's what's making OBS freak out. Well, as the title suggests, you get what's on the tin. These are the commanders from the clue set that came out with Ravnica Remaster. I kind of have like piles of cards that sort of synergize together with their commanders. I'm just going to kind of go through one by one. Maybe it'll help. We'll start with Apothecary White. And we'll end with Commander Mustard. Having a friend. Okay. Okay, it says it's good now, and that's what my friend just said too. I had him check things out, and he's like, yeah, there's just too much stuff on the screen. Once you clean it up a little bit, it'll run a little smoother, so... Awesome. Great. Anyway, first deck, Apothecary White. Where she's Orzhov colors, but she's only mono white color identity. Well, she's meant to be Orzhov colors. 4 for a 3/4. Human cleric with vigilance. Whenever you attack, you create a food token for each player being attacked. And you can tap a white and this creature to tap... excuse me. And also tap X untapped foods you control to create an equal number of 1/1 white human creature tokens. Whew. I'm having trouble reading today, apparently. That's okay. I'll get better. I promise. I wanted to include the in-color equipment just as sort of a bit of a goof. I don't know if any of these decks need it, but I just think it would be funny because they are meant to sort of represent the character, being the commander, and apparently Apothecary White wants to beat people up with a wrench. So I thought food tokens let you gain life, and I would sort of try to lean into that, where most of the cards in here I want to have some kind of synergy with gaining life. I think there's a lot of new cards from Bloomburrow and the Bat Tribal for mono white that might help with this. So we'll try to dig some of those out and see if we can make them work. Ajani's Pridemate, that was even in one of the pre-set Cluedo, or the Clue, one of the packs in the Clue set. Because whenever you gain life, you get to put a 1/1 counter on it. Syndicate of Tithes gives you access to Extort, which is great. Council's Judgment. Starting with you, each player votes for a non-land permanent you don't control. Exile each permanent with the most votes or tied for the most votes. That's a really good way to spite remove a bunch of things your opponents have. You might not necessarily have a lot of control over it, but none of the things can be yours, and you basically get to pick one thing that just goes away. And then your opponents each get to pick one too, but you don't need to worry about it because they can't target things that you control. Angel of Vitality. This also has something to do with gaining life. And its last ability here, it gets +2/+2 as long as you have 25 or more life. You're probably going to have that because this is Commander, so it's probably going to be 3 for a 4/4 flyer, which really isn't that bad of a deal. Boromir, Warden of the Tower, is just a good card. You can sort of just keep your opponents from casting free spells. So, we're running a lot of tokens, so Populate is pretty good. This is sort of the bad version of that green instant that gives all of your creatures hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Since it only gives them indestructible, they can still get exiled, but, it's fine. Because it has Populate. Doom Traveler is just a 1/1 that makes a 1/1 when it dies. So that would be a pretty good target for the Populate, just a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. You just populate that. Flumph. I thought this would be fun to put in. I don't know if I still want it in there. 2/0/4 Defender Flying. I'll move it a little closer. Hopefully it focuses. Whenever it is dealt damage, you and target opponent each draw a card. There's not really a way to choose when the Flumph takes damage other than during a combat phase. But it is a defender with flying, and it gives a little bit of draw for white, which white doesn't always have a lot of ways to draw cards. So next card I have in here is Emeria Shepherd, 7 for a 4/4 flyer, and it has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may return target non-land permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. If that land is a plains, you may return that non-land permanent card to the battlefield instead. Since this is mono white, it's going to be running a lot of plains. I just figured it would be nice because it will give me recursion. The problem with this Emeria Shepherd is it's just really expensive. Like 7 is hard for mono white. Mono white doesn't have too much ramp because I didn't want to include like land tax because that would just be too expensive. I did put a couple in there, but it's in there right now as just sort of a bomb. Divine Visitation, 5-drop enchantment. If one or more creature tokens would be created under your control, that many 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance are created instead. The idea is that I can use her effect to make 1/1 white human creature tokens, but instead they get turned into 4/4 flying vigilant angels. There's a couple other things in here that generate tokens, I hope. The idea was to make this sort of just a creature spawning deck, just like a bunch of tokens, run a little bit of Populate support. I think it definitely needs some work, but that's why I'm here right now. Cradle of Vitality. Whenever you gain life, you may pay 2. If you do, put a 1/1 counter on target creature for each 1 life you gained. I think that's pretty good. Lets you just drop a bunch of 1/1 counters on a creature that you gave lifelink, basically. No Witnesses. 4 sorcery speed. Each player who controls the most creatures investigates, then destroy all creatures. The idea is you can get a clue because you have a bunch of little crappy tokens on the board, and then you just blow the field up because you might have a bunch of crappy tokens, but your opponent actually has threatening creatures on the field. Blazing Archon, 9-drop, 5/6. Creatures can't attack you. Dude, that's it. Creatures can't attack you. I think it'd be fun to run that. Again, it's expensive. I think there might be some other better options, but it's funny. It's silly. It has 3 white pips in it, So it's kind of hard to play in a deck that isn't mono white. That's really my only reasoning. It just sounds like a dumb card to run in this deck, preventing people from attacking you with creature on the field. Blind Obedience, I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. It's just a really good enchantment. If you don't know what it does, it's a 2-drop. And artifacts and creatures your opponent control enter the battlefield tapped. It slows everything down. Next card I have here, Ancient Gold Dragon, 7 for a 7/10. And when it deals combat damage to a player, roll a die 20. You create a number of 1/1 blue fairy dragon creature tokens with flying equal to the result. Once again, that's just a way to get more bodies on the field, more things that could hopefully be turned into 4/4 Vigilant Angels. Yeah, it's also big. It's got a lot of power. It's got some good toughness. Legion Loyalty. This is really, really reflective. I might need to take it out of the little case it's in. This is an 8-drop enchantment, and it gives all creatures you control Myriad. I think Myriad is a really, really good effect in the Clue set, because whenever you deal damage to a player, that's when you are able to make your guesses. So having more creatures attacking more players sort of fits the theme of the game. Oh, and I did forget to mention, these are meant to be played while you're playing the Clue game that the commanders came with. So, Akroma, Angel of Wrath, very shiny. Another 8-drop, 6/6. It's just a angel. I thought it fit in the deck because I'm sort of kind of trying to go for a sub-theme with angels. I'm not sure if Akroma is going to make the final cut. If people have better suggestions, I'm listening. It's just I thought it would fit the theme in a funny way. Weathered Wayfinder, or Wayfarer, excuse me. 1-drop for a 1/1. It has tap a plains, tap it, search your library for a land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Activate only if an opponent controls more lands than you. It's sort of a way to catch up if your green, because there is a green deck, if the green player starts to just ramp uncontrollably, that's just sort of a catch-up mechanic. So, Voice of the Blessed, 2 white for a 2/2. Whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. As long as it has 4 or more 1/1 counters on it, it has flying and vigilance. And as long as it has 10 or more 1/1 counters on it, it is also indestructible. That's going back to, I am hopefully going to be making food. A ton of food, therefore I can use my foods to gain a lot of life. And, yeah. So there's sort of 2 main themes going on in this deck. Life gain and tokens. So token creatures and food tokens. But mostly mostly creature tokens. Because the food is a means to the end of obtaining more human creature tokens. Knight of the White Orchid. Kind of like the Weathered Wayfinder. 2 for a 2/2 first striker. When it enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than you, you may search your library for a plains card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. A little bit better than Weathered Wayfinder, but Weathered Wayfinder only works Weathered Wayfinder can continue working. Knight of the White Orchid is the one that only works the turn it comes into play. Along the same vein, there's Loyal Warhound as well. 2 for a 3/1 Vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than you, search your library for a basic Plains card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So it's sort of 3 cards that are doing similar things, but they all do it in a slightly different way. 2 are ETBs, one's an activated ability, but I think the 3 of them together, that's pretty much the only ramp the deck has. Keeper of the Accord. This fits in with making more tokens. It's a 4 for a 3/4 at the beginning of each opponent's end step. Oh, let me alter the angle just a little bit. If that player controls more creatures than you, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player controls more lands than you, you may search your library for a basic Plains card, put that onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. That's just kind of a combination. You get tokens if you're falling behind on creatures, and you get lands if you're falling behind on lands. And it can trigger multiple times. So since the land one is on your... Well, they're both at the beginning of your opponent's end step, but that means they can trigger even when it's not your turn, which is nice. Imposing Sovereign, 2 for a 2/1. Creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. That's just, it's just like Blind Obedience. It doesn't affect artifacts, though. Just slowing your opponent down. I think this is lands. Yeah, I got into lands. So, just going to count the number of non-land cards I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 21, 22, 23, 24. There's 24 creatures here. Figure 36 lands. Might do more, might do less. That is 60 cards. I still have room for 39 cards in the deck, which seems like a lot. When I was going through the Squirrel deck, actually, the Precon, this card jumped out at me. Academy Manufacturer. If you would create a clue, food, or treasure token, instead create one of each. So if Apothecary White is on the field and I'm attacking 3 people, I would get 3 food tokens. But instead of getting only 3 food tokens, I would get 3 food tokens, 3 clue tokens, and 3 treasure tokens. Yeah, I think that's definitely worth it. I'm noticing now that I sort of lack a way to create food tokens other than when Apothecary White is on the field, so that might be something that I want to fix. But at the same time, I feel like the deck runs... It can run fine without that. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about that for now. Maybe I'll worry about it a little bit. The problem is, though, that it's in mono white. I don't know if there's that much support for making food tokens in mono white. This is where I go onto Scryfall. I wanted to be able to share the screen. Maybe I still can. Let's see if it'll work. Worst case scenario, it really, really doesn't like. Where is it? I had it dragged off to the side. Okay, doesn't want to work. That's fine. I'll look into that later. Gonna do an advanced search on Scryfall. So I want cards in white. The text just says food. And that is all that is included in the text. That's all. Let's see what I get. Bartered cow. When it dies or when you discard it, create a food token. Bill the pony. When it enters the battlefield, create 2 food tokens. East Farthing Farmer from Lord of the Rings. 3 for a 2/3. When it enters the battlefield, create a food token. When you do, target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each food you control. Wow, that's surprisingly good if I have Apothecary White on the field. If they've been there for a bit. Field-tested frying pan out of, I believe that's the precon, one of the precons from Lord of the Rings. When it enters the battlefield, create a food token, then create a 1/1 white halfling creature token and attach field-tested frying pan to it. Equipped creature has whenever you gain life, this creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the amount of life you gained. Okay. Gives me 2 things I like: food token, which is a means to gain life, and a creature token that I can populate. Late to dinner, 4 cost sorcery. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Create a food token. That's it. Sounds pretty good. There's a couple more of Herbs and Stewed Rabbit. Over Encumbered's out of the Fallout set. I wasn't able to buy any of that set, which, other than the precons, but I'm really upset. I really wanted to get a collector box of that. I just couldn't. Makes a clue token, a food token, and a junk token. Rosie Cotton of South Lane, 3-drop, 1/1 halfling peasant. When it enters the battlefield, create a food token. And whenever you create a token, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control other than Rosie. That could be good. Could be good. I'm making a lot of tokens. I'm not really focused on the 1/1 counters. In this deck, like, sometimes they put 1/1 counters on themselves, and that's well and good. There's really not that many. Yeah, there's really not that many. Maybe there's some colorless cards. I added a couple more, but most of them are from the most recent unset. I didn't get any of that. Oh, here's one. Nuka-Cola vending machine. Again, it's from the Fallout series. It has one colorless tap, create a food token, and whenever you sacrifice a food, create a tapped treasure token. Which would be really good if I had Academy Manufacturer on the field. It would feed itself, which is neat. Because the treasure token that the first time I make the food token, it also creates a treasure token and a clue token. And then I can sacrifice the food to get a tapped treasure token, but that would give me an untapped clue and an untapped food. So anytime I sacrifice a food, I make a food, basically. I could, as long as I have the mana, keep going with that. There's just a lot of stuff from, not a lot, but there are several things from the Fallout set that I didn't have a chance to get. Witch's Oven out of Throne of Eldraine might be the best generator for food. You tap it, sacrifice a creature to make a food token, and if the sacrificed creature's toughness was 4 or greater, you create 2 food tokens instead. If anything, I'll check to see if I have a Nuka-Cola vending machine in one of the Fallout precons. Actually, let's check that. Nuka-Cola vending machine, there it is. I don't think it came in any of the precons. It may have, though. There was one about... There kind of was a deck that was themed on making a bunch of junk and then making that junk work for you. How could I find that? I could look up the deck list, I guess. Alright. Nope. Wait. Maybe. Science. I'll go check. Okay. I need to figure out which colors this is. I think Dr. Madison Lee is Jeskai colors. Ooh, does this insert just have the deck list so I don't have to rip the plastic off? No, why would it? Dang it. Okay, I guess I have to rip the shrink wrap. No, that's okay. It'll be fine in the box. It'll be nice and fine and safe in the box. There we go. Just looking. There it is. Nuka-Cola vending machine. Yep. It was right there in science. Bang. Didn't really want to open up one of the commander decks I had that was still... I usually get rid of the boxes because they're too bulky. But what I'll do is they usually come with like the small box in the big box. Like that. And I'll just keep it in the shrink wrap in the box. I like to, from time to time, play with the precons, especially within the set. First time I did it was with some friends with the Doctor Who precons. So we all used a Doctor Who pre-constructed deck. And just kind of went for it, and it was really fun because all the decks are roughly the same power level, and I feel like they usually try to do that. So, I'm not gonna rip the card out right this second. What I am going to do is I'm going to get a piece of paper and mark down that, once we do play the Fallout pre-constructed decks a couple times and have our fun, then I can rip Nuka-Cola vending machine out. I just need a piece of paper so that I can make that note. I don't have any mana rocks in here. I should probably put some mana rocks in there. Now that I've already opened up this box, I could probably look at these mana rocks in the EDH deck. Pre-made. Probably has a Soul Ring in here. I don't know if a Soul Ring would be game-changing in this deck. I guess it would let me play Apothecary White on turn 2. But it's only a 1 in 99 that you're going to draw that. There is a Sol Ring in here, yeah. Going through some of these other cards in this, and it actually looks like they might fit in some of the other decks, so that is good to see. Excuse me. Yeah, rest of this is just lands. Trying to decide if I just want to rip the cards out right now. I could probably get away with it. I need a lot more cards in this deck, though. I'm thinking enchantments maybe that give lifelink, equipments that give lifelink. I'm just going to start taking notes with my paper. I have a board wipe in there already. Should I include another one? It is mono white. There's some good board wipes in mono white. Let's dig through the Bloomburrow pile for a second. See what kind of bats are in here that might help. I think there's one where it's like, oh, when you attack, it gets lifelink if you gain life this turn. Or something. I don't remember. My brain is too full of other information. It can't hold on to everything. You know, for 2 seconds, Thistledown Players, I was like, oh yeah, if Thistledown Players has Myriad, then maybe it would work really well. But the problem is you never actually declare the attackers from Myriad. They the tokens enter the field already tapped and attacking the respective targets. So it does not work the way you want it to work. And that is very sad, because that would be really good if it worked like that. Unfortunately, it would probably be too good if it worked like that. So I sort of understand why. That's cheap. Here's a good one, actually. Life Crew Duo, Batbird, 2-drop flyer. Whenever another creature you control enters, you gain 1 life. That's perfect. That's exactly the kind of card we're looking for here. Just really easy ways to gain life. There's probably better cards to put in, but it's exactly what I'm looking for. Here's one. Waxwayne Witness. Whenever you gain or lose life during your turn, Waxwayne Witness gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Unfortunately, I can't run any of the bats in black because they thought it would be a fun idea to only have the commanders in this set have 1 color in their color identity. Pillated Provisioner is still bad. I will stand by that. Great and Sealed, because you can give your stuff flying when it doesn't deserve it, but Intrepid Rabbit might be kind of cute just because the offspring means it makes a token copy of itself, so I can just start creating token copies, but I don't even have I don't actually think I have a lot of stuff in there that gives proliferate. Or not proliferate, populate. Let's see if there's anything I could add. Populate. Text needs to say populate. And it needs to be in the white commander identity. Okay, that one's pretty good. Muster the Departed 3-drop enchantment from MH3. When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying, and it has Morbid. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, populate. I might still have that in this pile. Unless I already sorted everything from... Let me check. Not seeing anything from MH3 in here. I must not have sorted it into my other piles yet. So that means it's in this pile. Oh, actually? Carrot Cake? 2-drop when it comes into the when it enters the battlefield, and when you sacrifice it, create a 1/1 white rabbit creature token. More creature tokens. Yes, please. I'm going to set a card aside for later. No, I know I'll want that. Here's one. Star Charter. 4 for a 3/1 flyer. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained or lost life this turn, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card with power 3 or less from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. I don't know how many valid targets I'm going to have, so that's just sort of a specific target that you need. Excuse me. Bumbleflower Sharepot, as bad as it is colorless spot removal, which is hard to have protection against, and it comes into play and makes a food token. So while it is by no means an ideal card, it sort of fits everything that I want to do. So that one's going to go in there for fun. Oh, darn. This is the card that I was thinking of, Moonrise Cleric. Whenever you attack, you gain a life. It unfortunately has Orzhov Split in its cost, so it doesn't fit in the mono white color identity. Nah, that one only affects mice. Yeah. Okay. Let me double check this card count and make sure it's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 29. Still need another 34 creatures. This might be everything. Yeah. This looks like my MH3 stuff. Aha, Decree of Justice. When you cycle it, you can pay X. If you do, create X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. That sounds fun. Decree of Justice. I can also just hard cast it for XX, 2 colorless and 2 white, to create X 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying. Nope. Having so much trouble finding stuff. That is weird. Hey, there's Muster the Departed, though. Awesome. That's exactly what I was looking for. 3-drop enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you create that 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. And it has the morbid trigger. If something dies, is it on your field? Oh, no, it's just if a creature died this turn. Oh, that's funny. I'm going to put this right in, too. It's Mandibular Kite, 1-drop artifact with living weapon. The equipped creature gets +1/+1 in flying and has equipped cost of 4. But the reason I can do that, the reason I want to do it is because you can target that 0/0 germ token with Populate. It is copied as a 0/0 germ creature token, and then it dies immediately. So that triggers That triggers Morbid if I need to trigger Morbid. If I'm not planning on attacking or making a creature die in some way that turn. I might just pull the mana rocks out. I might just pull everything I want out of this deck for now. I don't actually know when the next time I'm going to be able to do the precons. Yeah, I'll just do it. There's Nuka-Cola vending machine. Rather than putting Arcane Signet in, I think I'm going to opt for Everflowing Chalice because I'm in one color. And a Soul Ring. I'll probably move that Soul Ring around later. Thought Vessel doesn't really make sense. I don't really have a ton of draw power here. So I'm in a monocolored deck with decent ramp and 2 mana rocks. I think that's all I need for ramp. Where is Nesting Dovehawk from? March of the Machine Commander. Darn. I don't think I have a March of Machine Commander with white in it. Scion of Vitu-Ghazi. Nah. Ooh, Song of the World Soul. From Commander 2019. I don't think I got those decks either. That's kind of exactly what I want, though. Tristani's Judgment. Probably worth running. It is a very expensive exile target creature. It's 6 mana, but it is instant speed. And it lets me populate. Nah, you know what? Muster the Dead is enough. Food. It's only 1 card, but... I think I want to be done with this deck for now. I think it needs more creatures. Let me dole out creatures and non-creatures. Non-creature, non-creature, creature, non-creature, creature, 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 non-creature, non-creature, no, creature, 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 no, creature, No creature. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 non-creature cards. I think what I'll want to do, I want another Wrath, and I want another target removal. And then the rest can be creatures. No, I want 3 target removals. And one of them can be Tristani's Judgment. Why not? The rest of the creatures I want to put in here, I want to kind of theme them into either things that make creatures or angels, because I think that would be fun. So we can set this first deck off to the side for the moment. It has a lot more than it did. And we'll move to the next one, which is going to be Senator Peacock, which I have a far better idea of what I'm doing with Senator Peacock. I think it's probably going to be one of the better decks in the rotation that I'm making. So, Senator Peacock reads... It's a 5-drop, 3 colorless, 2 blue, 3/4. Artifacts you control are clues in addition to their other types, and have 2 sacrifice this artifact, draw a card, just like a clue would have. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, target creature can't be blocked this turn. So the main idea that I had is... make all of your things artifacts. Non-land permanents you control are artifacts in addition to their other types. The same is true for permanent spells you control and non-land permanent cards you own that are not on the battlefield. So that makes all the things that I have artifacts. Which means if Senator Peacock is on the field, not only is everything an artifact, but everything that is an artifact is also a clue. Tangled Trove Kelp. 7-drop, 6/6, Ward 2. At the beginning of each combat, other clues you control become 6/6 plant creatures in addition to their other types until end of turn. Tap 2, sacrifice Tangled Grove Kelp, draw a card, because it is also, in its creature typing... Come on, focus up, camera. Focus. It is also a clue. I don't know if you can see it. So, between these 3 cards, all of my cards are artifacts. All of my artifacts are clues. All of my clues are 6/6 creatures. So we have cheap stuff in here like Ornithopter. Guess what? It's a 6/6 with flying. Memnite, guess what? It's a free 6/6. Welding Jar, it's not even a creature, but it's also a 6/6. You know what else is a 6/6? This dude right here, because he's also an artifact, which means he's also a clue, and he's also a 6/6. This is Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, draw a card. Gives me a little bit more card advantage. I like it. And it has Magecraft. You know what? I think I thought that said Metalcraft, and that's why I put it in there. I am going to cut that card right now in front of everybody because I misread it. I've got Fabricate in here to sort of facilitate the finding of the combo pieces that I want. Cogwork Assembler. 3 for a 2/3, and by that I mean a 6/6. I can tap 7 to create a token that's a copy of target artifact, and that token gains haste. I exile it at the beginning of the next end step. Basically, I tap 7 to make a copy of an artifact, and then I beat my opponent in the face with them and sacrifice it to draw a card because it's a clue. This is one of the worst counter spells I've ever seen. It's a 5-mana counter spell. But you get to investigate 3 times, so you get to make three clues. It is in Chinese. I apologize, but this is a Darksteel Forge. Darksteel Forge says, artifacts you control are indestructible. That's all. That might not be the exact wording. That I was just giving you the gist. Things I want to put in this deck. I want a Mycosynth Golem. I believe I have one. I unfortunately cannot find my Fifth Dawn cards. I have them in a separate binder because when I was a kid, I used to collect that set. I really liked it. Sort of the first set I ever really got into, so it's a bit nostalgic. I think I mostly have the big creatures I want in this deck. Like, I have Jin-Gitaxias in here. Anytime I cast an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, I can copy that spell. And the copy of the permanent spell just becomes a token. So, I also have Miajin of Cryptic Dreams in here so that at one point I can just rip the indestructible counter off and make a bunch of stuff, make a bunch of copies of something I have on the field that's big. I think I really just want to put things in there that are going to help me get more artifacts onto the field. I think I want to avoid it. I thought about putting, it's right here. It's in this deck. I kind of wanted to avoid having alternate win conditions in these decks because it's weird to have them in the game when you're trying to also play Clue. Because when you win the game, it's just like you win the game and the game of Clue is over, and the entire reason you were playing this is so you could also play Clue at the same time. But if you're no longer playing Clue, then it's just gone, and it's just kind of screwy. I don't think it's worth doing that. It gets in its own way, but that's something I'll run too. But where is the card that I'm looking for? Here it is. Mechanized Production. It's a 4-drop aura. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of Enchanted Artifact. Then, if you control 8 or more artifacts with the same name as one another, you win the game. The stupid thing is, with Mycosynth Lattice in play, or was it Mycosynth Lattice? Mycosynth something. I can't find it. It got buried. Oh, here it is. Encroaching Mycosynth. That's it. This becomes an artifact. So if you cast this spell while Jin-Gitaxias is on the field, you get a second one. So you put both of these on, I don't know, Servo. Heck, put it on Darksteel Forge. Who cares? Tangle Grove Kelp. Yeah, sure. We'll put it on Tangle Grove Kelp because it is not legendary. So you actually have 2 mechanized productions that are sitting on Tangle Grove Kelp. So at the beginning of your upkeep, you're going to get 2 more Tanglegrove Kelps every turn. You can remove the indestructibility counter from Mujin of Infinite Dreams or whatever it is. Make 3 more copies of Tanglegrove Kelp. That's 4 copies of Tanglegrove Kelp that are on the field. So the next turn, you've got 7 Tanglegrove Kelps. I don't want to run that. That is too good. This might be good. Mystic Forge. It's a 4-drop. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast artifact spells and colorless spells from the top of your library. Because the way that Mycosynth or Encroaching Mycosynth is worded, it basically says everything in your deck is an artifact without being an artifact. Or I should say without it having to have the typing of artifact, because it just gives it. Non-land permanents you control are artifacts in addition to their other types. The same is true for permanent spells you control and non-land permanent cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. You own the spell when it's in your library. You just can't cast it. So that's super good. Mystic Forge. That's an include. Just lets me cast spells off the top of my deck. Nick Valentine, Private Eye. 3-drop for a 2/2. Nick Valentine, Private Eye can't be blocked except by artifact creatures. Whenever Nick Valentine or another artifact creature you control dies, you may investigate. So that's just a way to get more tokens. Going to be avoiding energy counters in most of these decks because I think they're too good. You know what? Sad Robot. That's got to go in there. We can put a Wayfarer's Bauble in. Sure, why not? Big keywords for this deck are artifact. Pretty much anything with artifact is what you want. Wayfarer's Bauble should help me with ramp if I need it, and if not, it's 1 for a 6/6 clue that I can just sacrifice to draw cards or look for stuff. It's just it's a pretty stereotypical artifact deck. I want Mycosynth Golem to give all of my spells affinity for artifacts. I think I have the other one too, not Encroaching Mycosynth, but the one that I called it earlier, Mycosynth Lattice. I'll look up on Gatherer instead. This one's being difficult. Mycosynth Lattice. There it is. Mycosynth Lattice is a 6-drop artifact. All permanents are artifacts in addition to their other types. That includes lands as well. All cards that aren't on the battlefield, spells, and permanents are colorless, removing the color from cards. That removes a lot of like protection from Eldrazi. A lot of Eldrazi have like protection from multicolor or protection from colored. That Mycosynth Lattice strips the color from your spells, which is very interesting. Players may spend mana as though it were mana of any color. Matters a little bit less, but it's kind of funny. So, I think I have one from... Oh, it's Darksteel. I thought it was in Mirrodin, but it makes sense that it was Darksteel. So also you can't search for blue spells anymore because all the spells in your deck are colorless. But I don't think this deck would search for anything like that. I need a little bit more. I just need more creature base for this, and I think I'm gonna just put Murs in there. So I'm gonna write that down. And then there wasn't much to say about this deck. Just gonna move on. More creatures. Plus Mycosynth Golem. And we also want to add Mycosynth Lattice if I can find it. For the lands, I'm really not concerned with the lands. I'm probably just going to put in 36 islands. I'll probably switch one of those islands out for Seed of the Synoid, or I can't remember the exact name of the land. It's something similar to that. It is an artifact land that taps for blue, so that's all I care about. Moving on. Wow, I already made a cut. Black. We have Mastermind Plum. 3-drop for a 2/2. Human Wizard. Whenever Mastermind Plum attacks, exile up to one target card from a graveyard. If an artifact card was exiled this way, create a treasure token. Whenever you cast a spell, if mana from a treasure was spent to cast it, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. This is just going to be a Voltron deck. I want to swing with Mastermind Plum whenever I can, and I want it to be difficult for him to be interacted with. So I have some cheap artifacts like a Quarter's Shield. I have the Lead Pipe in here, of course. Explorer's Scope for ramp. If the top card is a land, I just get to put it on the field. Blade of the Oni. It's a stupid big enchant or artifact equipment thing. Makes Mastermind Plum bigger. Black Blade Reforged. A crypt creature gets +1/+1 for each land you control. We like that. This, I think it's called Pathfinder's Boots or something. It gives your creature non-basic land walk. It was a buy a box promo from Lord of the Rings, and I bought a box of Lord of the Rings when I was in China. Bilbo's Ring. As long as it's your turn, equipped creature has hexproof and can't be blocked. Yes, we like that. The equip cost is high, but I don't care because I'm not spending my mana on pretty much anything else. Crawl space, limiting the amount of people that can attack, right? I am only attacking with one creature anyway. Yeah. Oh, and it actually only limits my opponent. I would also run Silent Arbiter in this deck if I had another one. I thought this was funny. Death Cloud. Each player loses X life, then discards X cards from his or her hand, then sacrifices X creatures, then sacrifices X lands. And the X is in the cost. X and 3 black. Bam. I don't know if I'll keep it in there. It's sort of a crappy board wipe. But it makes your opponent sacrifice them. Mithril Coat. There's another artifact equipment. Flash, indestructible. When it enters the battlefield, attach it to target legendary creature you control. Enchanted creature has indestructible. Just in case I need to flash in protection for Mastermind Plum. Okay. Why is this in there? This is awful. I'm cutting that. This is also terrible. I think this was meant to be in the other deck. Yeah, this... Chromatic Sphere. Horrible card. But the funny thing is it's a 1-drop artifact, so I'm going to put it in the artifact deck. 1 for a 6/6 at best. I think I was going to do the same thing with this one. Conjurer's Bauble. Babble. I want more sacrifice outlets in this deck. I'm going to put things like Fleshbag Marauder in here so it comes into play, but all players have to sacrifice a creature. I just sacrifice the Fleshbag Marauder. I want a little bit of recursion in here, like, I don't know, return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. So, there's nothing much about this deck. It's kind of boring. I might add some aura support as well as enchantment, or as well as equipment support. I'll put that in a question mark. I have both Massacre Girls in here. I have Massacre Girl and then Massacre Girl Known Killer. Massacre Girl says, when it enters, each other creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Whenever a creature dies this turn, each creature other than Massacre Girl gets -1/-1 until end of turn. So, it's really only good the turn it comes into play, but the idea is that I want to recur it back to hand so that I can cast it when I want to. Massacre Girl Known Killer is far better. 4-drop for a 4/4 with Menace. Creatures you control have Wither. They deal damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters. Wither is so good at getting around indestructible. It's crazy. I love Wither. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, if its toughness was less than 1, draw a card. That's one of the reasons I'm running Death Cloud. Oh wait, I thought it also gave -X/-X until end of turn. There must have been a different card in here that gives -X/-X. Decree of Pain, there it is. When you cycle Decree of Pain, all creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. Yeah. Nefashu, 5/3 zombie mutant for 6. Whenever it attacks, up to 5 target creatures each get -1/-1 until end of turn. So, nice. I think I might put Maha in here. I know I have extra Mahas, so I don't have to. But that's the problem. I don't, like I said, I don't want to put the instant win in the blue deck, and I don't want to. That just basically makes it so all of your opponent's creatures are just one block away from just dying, and it seems a little bit anti-fun. I'll think of something different. I don't think I want Maha in here. It's just too good. But I want more sacrifice. I should probably run Long Winter or whatever the 5-drop instant was from Bloomburrow, because it's your opponent sacrifices an artifact or an enchantment. I can't remember which one. One or the other. Might be enchantment. But I think that's cool because it's sacrifice. I want my opponent to discard cards, sacrifice creatures, and not be able to block Mastermind Plum. Those are the 3 things that I want out of the deck. So, discard. Oh, I could put Bandit's Talent in there. That would fit really well. Skull Rack, too. It's just so hard to get those. I think just Bandit's Talent would be fine. So Bandit's Talent. Sacrifice. Permanence. And that's it. Yeah, we can be done with this. I don't really find the artifact deck difficult to build. I just find it difficult to find the pieces, and I would spend like 6 hours looking for those pieces. And it's kind of the same way with this deck. This deck sort of has its idea where I'm giving stuff -1/-1, and just debilitating my opponent. I'm limiting their options. Let's move on to Headliner Scarlet. I think Headliner Scarlet is terrible. 4-drop, 3/3 haste. When she enters the battlefield, creatures target player controls can't block this turn. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top 2 cards of your library face down. You may look at and play that card this turn. Oh, it's just the top card, not top 2. I find her ability super weak compared to the rest. This is just going to be mono red aggro. Yeah. The idea was make treasures so that you can ramp. So I'm, instead of ramping lands, instead of ramping lands, I am ramping treasure tokens, and hopefully I'm just able to play the big stuff that Headliner Scarlet pops off the top. So I think I might just cram some dragons in here. I think her ability is awful. Yeah. The one thing she does, like the turn she comes into play where you make an opponent not be able to block. That's huge. Like, you can just swing in for lethal on somebody. But again, I want to encourage actually playing Clue while using the decks. And I so far I feel like Apothecary White does a really good job at doing that. Mastermind Plum does a pretty good job at doing that. Senator Peacock kind of does that well. The problem is just she makes everything a little too strong if the full combo's out. And it's just the opponent's probably dead before they can give you information. So Headliner Scarlet, though, is just like, what do I do with this? What? Your ability is kind of mediocre at best, and it's fine. It's just not great. I've got Knife in here because that's the red equipment. Connecting the dots. Whenever a creature you control attacks, exile the top card of your library face down. You can't look at it, and you can also pay 2 to discard your hand, sacrifice Connecting the Dots, put all cards exiled with Connecting the Dots into their owner's hand. I like that idea that you just sort of sit on a bank for a few turns, and then you get a new hand. Because this deck is, even though it's mono red aggro, it's going to be unbearably slow. Fugitive Codebreaker, 2-drop for a 2/1 Goblin Rogue with Prowess and Haste. It has Disguise 6, and the cost is reduced by 1 for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. When it's turned face up, discard your hand, then draw 3 cards. Like, that would be a great time to have Connecting the Dots out. You just discard your 2 cards or whatever, draw 3 cards, and then sacrifice Connecting the Dots. Exquisite Firecraft, because it's a burn spell. That's literally the only reason I put it in here. It's sorcery speed. Never mind, I'm taking it out. Why is it sorcery speed? 3 damage. 3 mana for 4 damage, I mean. What happened to Lightning Bolt? Case of the Crimson Pulse. You're going to have no cards in your hand at some point. When it enters the battlefield, discard a card, then draw 2 cards. Or, sorry, when this case enters the battlefield. There we go. To solve, you have no cards in hand. Solved at the beginning of your upkeep, discard your hand, then draw 2 cards. I think it'll be fun to just cycle through a lot of cards in this deck. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Create a 2/2 red Goblin Shaman creature token with whenever this creature attacks, create a treasure token. You may discard up to 2 cards if you do draw that many cards. 3 is exile this saga, then return it to the battlefield transformed under your control. Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. 2/2. 1 colorless tap, create a token that's a copy of another target non-legendary creature you control, except it has haste, and you sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. I don't have any problem with it. It seems like a good way to aggro pretty hard. So, Devilish Valet, 3 for a 1/3 trample haste alliance. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, double Devilish Valet's power until end of turn. Could this thing focus, please? There we go. I figured if I can get out like 6 creatures in a turn, it'll be absolutely massive, and it would be funny. Galoin, Dwarven Emissary. Whenever you cast a historic spell, create a treasure token. I want to run treasure tokens as best I can. Sacrifice a treasure token. Goad target creature. I think goading in this deck is going to be valuable because I don't want enemies attacking me because my board is going to be sideways 90% of the time. Shiny Impetus. It's an aura. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and is goaded. Can't attack you. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, you create a treasure token. Great. Disrupt Decorum. Like I said, I think goad is going to be a great mechanic for this. Galena, Wild Mage. It's a 4-drop for a 3/2. Elf Shaman. An elf in red, which I think is very funny. Please focus. Whenever she attacks, choose target creature you control, then roll a 20-sided die. 1 to 14, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of that creature, except it's not legendary, and has exile this creature at end of combat. 15-20, create one of those tokens, roll again. Pretty nice. Erratic Cyclops, 4 for a 0/8. Trampler. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Erratic Cyclops gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. Maybe that's why I had Exquisite Firecraft in there. Not because it was good, but because it was kind of expensive. There's better things. Curse of Obsession. 5 mana. Enchant player. At the beginning of enchanted player's draw step, that player draws 2 additional cards. At the beginning of enchanted player's end step, that player discards their hand. Chain Whip Cyclops. 5-drop for a 4/4. 4 mana. Target creature can't block this turn. Just to remove blockers on the field. Yeah. Honestly, this... Oh, I did put Italia in here. I mean, that's a good card. Yeah. I put some dragons in here. I've got some cool stuff. Ruby Medallion. There's just it's kind of boring. I think this deck is really boring. I tried to spice it up a little bit. I put Prisoner's Dilemma in there. You know, just anything to make the deck more interesting. Neheb the Eternal. Yeah. This deck is just, it's trying very hard to be literally anything. The commander's just kind of a dud. I guess maybe the idea is just going to be draw, discard until you find the things that can help you win. So what do we want to do for that? Red. I think it needs more instants and sorceries. And it needs more creatures to just turn sideways. I could just make it a goblin deck with a really bad commander and it would work just fine. But I kind of want to go along with whatever they're trying to do. So, okay, Emissary Green. Another commander I don't think is that great. It's just expensive. 5 for a 3/3. Whenever he attacks, starting with you, each player votes for profit or security. You create a number of treasure tokens equal to twice the number of profit votes. And you put a number of 1/1 counters on each creature you control equal to the number of security votes. This is begging to have like an Innkeeper's Talent or a Doubling Season put in. I don't know if I have an extra one though, so we'll see. Sword of the Animists for ramp. Rope, because that's the thing. Gala Greeters. I have the Japanese version of Gala Greeters. I should have got the Cantonese one because I didn't know that they printed one in Cantonese until after I got that one. Colossal Majesty. Champion of Lamholt. Eska's Chariot. I put the Furry Car in this deck. Just super basic. Super basic mono green deck. Giant Adaphage. Oh, I do have Omnath in here. I was actually talking to a friend and was like, oh, I should put Omnath in the mono green deck. I have it. Tireless Tracker. That one too. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, investigate. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, put a 1/1 counter on Tireless Tracker. Topiary Stomper, because it's cheap and it's big. And I should be able to get lands pretty quickly. Yeah. Yet again, there is another deck that is just so basic. I do have a Great Henge. It's a party tree, but, you know, that's a really good mana rock. It's expensive, but it's green. I'll put a little bit more ramp. It needs a little bit more ramp. Oh, and I need to remember to mark down that I need mana rocks for red and black as well. Mana rocks. Add mana rocks. I feel like the blue deck doesn't need mana rocks. It has like, it can survive with just a Soul Ring or just even a Thran Dynamo would be fine in it. A lot of the cards in the deck are going to be very cheap, cost-wise, mana cost-wise, I should say. Green. Green needs... I'll put some mana dorks in there instead of... I can run probably Kodama's Reach and Rampant Growth. There's nothing much to say about a mono green deck. Just you put big creatures and you put enough land to play those big creatures. That's it. That's it. It is a stereotypical mono green deck because he either makes your creatures bigger or he makes it easier for you to play big creatures later. It's just, it fits really well. He's just expensive to get out. That's my one gripe. All right. Last, we have Commander Mustard. Commander Mustard is a 5-drop for a 5/5. Vigilance. Other soldiers you control have Vigilance, Trample, and Haste. You can also tap 4, including a red and a white. Until end of turn, soldiers you control gain whenever this creature attacks. It deals 1 damage to defending player. Super aggro. Big aggro deck. You want to put in tons of tiny guys that all are very upset. And they all happen to have soldier in their typing. Gideon Blackblade. It's it's intrinsic. As long as it's your turn, Gideon Blackblade is a 4/4 human soldier creature token with indestructible that is still a planeswalker. Right there. He is in the deck because he is a soldier. Seize the Day. Untap target creature. After this main phase, there is an additional combat phase followed by an additional main phase. Flashback for 3. Look, it's a soldier. Wow. Look, a soldier that costs 2 mana. Wow. Aegis of the Legion. Great. It gives your creature mentor. Love it. War Leader's Call. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Woo. All your weak, crappy soldiers are now 1/1s. I'm taking this out. I put it in there because I thought it would be funny. But it's a soldier. This creature is a soldier, but she doesn't make soldiers. I thought they were gnome soldiers for whatever reason that she made. Another soldier, and this one has mentor. Wow. Excellent. Assemble the Legion. Look at that. Make 1/1 red and white soldier creature tokens. Duke under Ravengard. Oh, wow. It's a soldier. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gains haste and Myriad until end of turn. We like Myriad. This is, for this format, Myriad is fun. It helps you get more information quickly. Champion of the Parish. Whenever another human enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Champion of the Parish. It's a 1-drop for a 1/1 that buffs itself, and to kick it off, he's a soldier. Whoa! Soldiers. Esper Sentinel. Awesome. It's a soldier. It also has a stupidly good ability. Whenever an opponent casts their first non-creature spell each turn, draw a card unless that player pays X, where X is Esper Sentinel's power. So the idea is to get a bunch of power on all of your creatures because you're antheming your board over and over and over. Ajani's Pridemate. It's a soldier. You know what? It's 2 for a 2/2. It can stay. It's a strictly better traveling philosophers. I'm trying to talk too fast, and I'm starting to choke on my words. Sunhome Stalwart. 2 for a 2/2 with first strike and mentor. Wow. Guess what? Also a soldier. So good. Finale of Glory. X white. Create X 2/2 white soldier creature tokens with vigilance. If X is 10 or more, also create X 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance. I really only care about it for that first bit that makes soldier tokens. But those 4/4 angels are going to be really good at intercepting the flyers that are coming at me. Fabled Hero. 3 for a 2/2 with double strike. And it's a soldier. It's another soldier. Boromir, Warden of the Tower. Can you guess what creature type he is? That's right. He's a soldier. You can kind of read it there. This is Kithkin. Let me look this guy up so I can tell you exactly what he is because I can't even read that. Kithkin. I'm just gonna search Kithkin. No, you... No. You know what? I'm going to use Scryfall search instead of Gatherer. Creature. Text Kithkin. I thought it was a Kithkin. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just wrong. I'm almost positive I have an English copy of this card too. I don't know why I put the dang it. Nika something already ran out of steam. I don't know that much Chinese. I know it's not Thought Left Trio. Okay, I'm going to alter my search. It must not be a Kithkin, but it is a soldier. I know it's a soldier because it's in this deck. If there's a creature in this deck that is not a soldier, it is going to be removed. Preeminent Captain. There he is. It is a Kithkin. Why did... Okay, whatever. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Preeminent Captain. 3-drop. First strike. Whenever Preeminent Captain attacks, you may put a soldier card from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. That's why he's in the deck. He cheats out creatures in my hand, which I like it. He gets out creatures that shouldn't be out yet. Odric, Master Tactician. 4 for a 3/4, first strike. Whenever Odric, Master Tactician, and at least 3 other creatures attack, you choose which creatures block this combat and how those creatures block. You can wipe your opponent's board out because you get to choose how they block, and you can make them block in the stupidest way possible. And that is good control. Captain of the Watch, 6 for a 3/3 Vigilance. Other soldier creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Vigilance. Wow, that's what we like. More anthems. When Captain of the Watch enters the battlefield, put 3 1/1 white soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield. And guess what? Because it itself is an anthem, they're not 1/1s, they're 2/2s because... And they have Vigilance. It's great. Stoneforge Masterwork. 1-drop equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control that shares a creature type with it. That's pretty good. Horn of Gondor. When Horn of Gondor enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human creature token. Oh, human soldier creature token. Excuse me. That's why it's in here, because it makes human soldiers. 3 and tap, create X11 white human soldier creature tokens, where X is the number of humans you control. Not every single soldier in this deck is going to be a human, but a lot of them are. Gideon Jura. Yeah, he can turn himself into a soldier. That's literally the only reason he's in there. Oh boy, I put another Chinese card in here. Shoot. What is that? 1 red. 1 red. 1 generic. Soldier. That's not the card I was looking for. I guess I'll just take that out. Ooh, do I have power toughness? Because I can do power toughness. Power toughness? Hello? Power toughness? This is a rare. And it's from MH2. General Ferris Rockerick. Rockerick? Yeah, that's what it looks like. Hexproof from multicolored. Whenever you cast a multicolored spell, create a 4/4 red and white golem artifact creature token. He gets a pass because those creature tokens are beefy. Warstorm Surge. I love this card. 6-drop. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. It's so good at just lasering stuff that you want off the field. Gonna just quickly separate them out by creature and non-creature. I'm including one of the Gideon Juras as a creature because it's always a creature on your turn. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 creatures. I need a little bit more creatures in red. I have multicolored creatures, like with either both color in their cost or split costs. But I need some mono red soldiers. I think that's what I need. So I'll mark that. I need mono red soldiers. And I need rocks. And I can use some better rocks in here. Like, I can use Boros Signet. And also Sol Ring. Always. Sol Ring is better in multicolored decks than it is in monocolored decks, generally. Unless you're playing expensive things that have lots of colorless in their cost. Jeez. I've got a beautiful Arid Mesa Chinese foil. So pretty. Oh, I do have a Boros Signet. I'll scratch that off so that I don't accidentally put another one in there. I might want to go with like a Arcane Signet, I guess. I can always pull the Arcane Signet out. Oh, that's what I did. I pulled out Patchwork Banner for this because all of the creatures are soldiers. So I can name Soldier, and then, bam, all my soldiers get another anthem. That's the idea anyway, is I have a bunch of crappy little 1/1 soldiers that all get super buff. While we're still here, let's go back to the advanced search. My commander is in white and red. I want the color to be red. And I want the advanced search. It needs to be in red. Commander identity is in white and red. There we go. Soldier. I figured out how to search with Soldier. Perfect. A Cronin Crusader. Bit weak. Ooh, Barbarian General would be awesome. Probably costs $1 billion. It's an uncommon out of Portal 3 Kingdoms. Yeah, it's $25. It's got a horsemanship. It's a 5-drop for a 3/2 with horsemanship. It's terrible. But because it's from Portal 3 Kingdoms, it's stupidly expensive. Conscripted infantry out of Brothers War. You know what? I might have one of those. Do I have Brothers War stuff in these piles? I think I already got rid of all of them. Okay. Conscripted infantry is a 3-drop. Conscripted infantry, I found it right away. 3-drop for a 3/1. When it dies, you create a 1/1. Ooh, that was too close. When it dies, you create a 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature token. So it does all the things I want it to do. It is a soldier, and when it dies, it makes a soldier to replace it. Philology Chain Dancer. 4 for a 2/4. I can tap two generic to give it double strike until end of turn. That should be in the same pile. Somebody can help me with that. I don't know how to spell it. It's right in front of me and I can't spell it. Nope, I hit Fatal Attraction. Tie open a box of Brothers War. How do I not have that? It's a common. Oh, it's a 4-drop. I was looking in the wrong spot anyway. Haha, I knew that. You don't belong there. No. FALLAGIFAM. Yeah, I don't have a Philology Chain Dancer. Grishnak Brash Investigator. It's an orc army, not a soldier. The amass orcs. Yeah. Goblin Banneret might be funny to run if I have one. Goblin Banneret is 1 for a 1/1. It has Mentor, and it also has 1 generic, 1 red to give it +2/+0 until end of turn, getting it easier to put the counter from Mentor on, something that you actually want to put it on. Goblin Arsonist. Goblin Arsonist is not a soldier. But A comes before B, so Goblin Banneret could be behind a Goblin Arsonist. Nope. Goblin Balloon Brigade. Unfortunately, not what I'm looking for. Kobold Drill Sergeant. Other kobold creatures you control get +0/+1 and have trample. That's a joke because most kobolds have 0 power. That's funny. Legion Loyalist and Legion Warboss both look like good candidates. Legion Loyalist is 1 for a 1/1 Goblin Soldier with haste. It has Battalion. Whenever Legion Loyalist and at least 2 other creatures attack, creatures you control gain First Strike and Trample until end of turn, and can't be blocked by creature tokens this turn. So they can't just chump. I'm pretty sure I have a Legion Loyalist. I might have a second. Commander Mustard gives all my soldiers trample already, but giving them First Strike and the inability to be chumped by tokens sounds like a really good thing to have. Legion Warboss is 3 for a 2/2 Goblin Soldier with Mentor, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 1/1 red Goblin creature token. That token gains haste until end of turn and attacks this combat if able. It is not a soldier, but the Legion Warboss has Mentor, and I think Mentor is a great ability. Lubu, Master at Arms, 6 for a 4/3. Haste Horsemanship. Machao, Western Warrior, 3/3 for 5. Horsemanship. Whenever it attacks alone, Machao can't be blocked. Yeah. I wish I had bought Portal 3 Kingdoms. There are some bad cards in that set, but there are also some wildly good cards. Not many. There are not many wildly good cards, but hey, here's one that's pretty okay. Mountain Bandit. It's 1 for a 1/1 soldier with haste. That's fine. That's fine. That's a fine card. Markov Enforcer, 6 for a 6/6. Whenever it or another vampire enters the battlefield under your control, Markov Enforcer fights up to 1 target creature an opponent controls. Whenever a creature dealt damage by Markov Enforcer this turn dies, create a blood token. I'm not running any vampires. If it said a soldier, that'd be great, but it doesn't. Mirage Phalanx. 6 for a 4/4 Soul Bond. As long as Mirage Phalanx is paired with another creature, each of those creatures has, at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of this creature, except it has haste and loses Soulbound. Exile it at end of combat. So you just get an extra copy of them. Would be cool. I highly doubt that I have a copy of that card because it was in Crimson Vow Commander. I did not buy Crimson Vow. I bought a fat pack of Crimson Vow when I got home, and I haven't bought any Crimson Vow since. I love the set, like the vibe of the set, how it's a wedding. That's super cool, but I haven't found very much of it. And I haven't really seen any must-have cards out of it either. I would love to find this. Ortheon, Hero of Lavabrink. It's 4 mana for a 3/3 human soldier. It has 2 abilities. The first one is 1 generic, 1 red, tap. Create a token that's a copy of another target creature you control. It gains haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Activate only as a sorcery. Second ability is 6 generic, red, 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 tap. Create 5 tokens that are copies of another target creature you control. They gain haste. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Activate only as a sorcery. I think I would actually rather put that in the mono red deck because that is stupidly funny. You can just put you can put 5 copies of, I don't know, a dragon and just swing in with a bunch of dragons. That's funny. That's a funny card. I like that. It's not very good, but it is funny. That is not very good. Sandstone Warrior, 4 for a 1/3 with first strike. It has fire breathing. Two for a okay. If Rock Hunter were 2 for a 3/1 with reach and first strike, it would be great. But it only has reach. Renegade Warlord. I like that. I doubt I have one. I'm not even gonna look. But that's cool. Out of the Doctor Who set, Sontaran General. I said it right the first time. It's a 5 for a 5/5 trample haste. When it and at least 2 other creatures attacked, for each opponent, goad up to 1 target creature that player controls. Those creatures can't block this turn. Wow, it goads them and makes it so they can't block. Honestly, that might also be better in the mono red deck than it would be in the Boros deck. I feel like the Boros deck can take a little bit more. Spartan Veteran. As long as it's your turn, Spartan Veteran has first strike. That's good. 1 for a 1/1 first strike on your turn. So you just swing with it. And it has bad fire breathing. But it's too generic to get +1/+0. Different fire breathing. Still kind of bad. No, bad. Ooh, I like that. 5 for a 4/4. You can tap a white to give it vigilance until end of turn. That is not a good card, but it is very fun. Because it's big. Wojak Bodyguard. 3 for a 3/3 with Mentor, and it cannot attack or block alone. Yellow Scarves Cavalry, 2 for a 1/1 with horsemanship, and it can't block. Okay, I think I'm gonna look for those rares. I'm gonna put Spartan Soldier in this deck because I have it right over there. And then I'm going to call this deck fine as well. I didn't actually put any of these decks together. I was just trying to get a feel for what I needed to add and write it all down. Because that's how I operate. Ah, this guy's a 1 for a 1/1 with haste. Why not? 1 for a 1/1 with haste is great. Especially when it's a soldier. Spartan Veteran, there he is. Okay. Gonna find a few more creatures, I think, for this. Not very many. This one doesn't need many more creatures. They have to be soldiers to get into the deck, of course. But I think I should be able to get these done. I think next time I'll just pick this up and go through again. But we'll actually take them one deck at a time and put cards in and make cuts. And that was the original plan for today, but it was just taking so long for me to decide what I wanted to do with the decks. So that's okay. I think that'll be it then. Let's check this real quick. I'm gonna go through the Mardu Precon out of the Fallout Commander decks as well, because I just looked at it like, Caesar, he's a soldier, right? Are all the creatures in this deck going to be soldiers? Gary. Craig Boone, Novak Guard, Reach Lifelink, 3 for a 3/3. Whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, put 2 quest counters on Craig Boone, Novak Guard. When you do, Craig Boone deals damage equal to the number of quest counters on it up to one target creature, unless that creature's controller has Craig Boone deal that much damage to them. Could be okay in the deck. Lifelink is nice. Lifelink is really nice when you factor into the fact that, or when you factor in that the damage that he does from his ability is also life-linkable. I have another copy of this, Intangible Virtue. I'm going to shove a copy of that in the mono white deck. Seeing it made me remember that it existed. White Intangible Virtue. Because it really focuses on creature tokens. I think that's probably it then. I'm not seeing much else in here. Couple decent ones for other decks, but my biggest problem with the commanders that were provided with the clue set, other than Commander Mustard, actually. Jeez, this looks awful. Hold on, try to get it to focus up a little bit. Sorry, it was blurry there for so long. Gross. The biggest problem that I had with these commanders coming out of the clue set is they are monocolored commanders that are representing the guild that they're affiliated with. Like, Senator Peacock is supposed to be representing the Azorius Guild, but she doesn't have any white affiliation. Like, white is not in her color identity. I think what they could have done is they could have had some ability in their text where it's like Senator Peacock could tap a white and I don't know, counter target triggered ability that targeted this card or something like that. Just something like super dumb and niche that would barely ever go off or do anything, or even just make it super expensive, make it like 5 mana that includes 1 white to do that. So then at least you have the option to put white cards in the deck so that it is an Azorius deck. I feel that especially with Apothecary White, and really, really badly with Headliner Scarlet, because if Headliner Scarlet had black in her color identity, you could just go crazy and make a full-out Rakdos deck. But because Headliner Scarlet is only in red, then you have to make the Rakdos deck with only the red components of Rakdos. So, the commanders are fun. I think that Commander Mustard is probably the best. It's followed by Senator Peacock. And then arguably, I do think that Apothecary White and Emissary Green are pretty good. I don't know which one would be next, but Mastermind Plum and Headliner Scarlet are probably the ones at the bottom. And I'd put Headliner Scarlet all the way at the bottom. I think it's the worst one by far. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and end stream now that I have created a plan for making these decks, things I need to change, things I need to add, and I think just like slowly but surely I'll be gathering components, and next time I'll hopefully be able to start putting these decks together. So, thanks for joining me, and we'll be back next time.